Welcome to the deep dive. Something I hear constantly from English learners is this real desire, this need to speak faster, more naturally.
Mm. Like bridging that gap between knowing the words and actually using them fluidly.
Exactly. It's like the knowledge is there,
Yeah.
but making it flow in a real-time chat, that feels like the final hurdle.
Yeah.
So we dug into a really practical source, the BBX Learning English podcast, specifically their episode Talk Faster in English.
Episode 39, yeah. Good stuff in there.
Right, and our mission today really is to pull out those core strategies they discuss. We want to give you a clear path to, ramp up your speaking speed.
But crucially, without losing clarity. That's the key point they make.
Absolutely. It's about boosting confidence and fluency, not just talking fast.
That's right. Many of you, I imagine, want to move past sounding, well, a bit hesitant. You want to feel more comfortable in the conversation.
Totally. And this deep dive should give you some really actionable techniques for that, for finding that natural rhythm.
It's definitely not about just, rushing your words. It's more nuanced than that.
Okay, so let's get into it.
Yeah.
Why is speaking faster, or maybe more naturally paced, even important?
Well, for starters, it just helps the conversation flow better, doesn't it? It makes your English sound less,
Yeah,
steady.
like you're reading aloud, yeah.
Yeah.
And it can genuinely boost your confidence, cut down on that internal monologue of, what should I say next?
Definitely. But there's a deeper level, which you touched on, and the BBX podcast hints at this too. Practicing faster speech actually trains your brain.
How so?
It pushes you to think directly in English rather than translating. It's like switching your brain's operating system for language.
Oh, I like that analogy. So instead of running English through your native language software.
You're booting up directly in English. It makes the whole process inherently faster, more efficient.
That's a great way to put it. And this is important, speed isn't everything, right?
Not at all. That's a huge point from the BBX discussion. Fast but unclear speech. Pointless.
Right. Gibberish.
Exactly. The goal is natural and clear speech. Well, at a pace that feels comfortable in a conversation, finding that sweet spot.
Okay. So what holds people back? What are those common hurdles BBX Learning talked about?
Well, the big one, as we sort of mentioned, is translating. Thinking in your native language first.
That constant mental back and forth.
Yeah, it eats up time. Those milliseconds count in a real conversation, and it slows down your response. Plus, English just works differently sometimes. Direct translation can sound off.
Clunky, yeah.
Okay, what else?
Vocabulary limitations.
What?
If you don't have the words readily available, you're going to pause, right?
Mm-hmm. Searching for the right word. It's like driving but constantly stopping for directions.
Precisely. And even if you know the words, there's the confidence factor.
Ah, yes. The fear of mistakes.
That's huge. It makes people hesitate, speak overly carefully. It really stifles fluency and speed. Everyone learning a language feels.
Oh, for sure. It's a fluency killer. But BBX wisely points out mistakes are just part of it. You learn by doing, by speaking, errors included.
Absolutely. You get more comfortable, more natural through speaking, not by avoiding it.
Okay, another one.
Overthinking. Trying to plan out every single perfect sentence before you say it.
Impractical in a real chat.
Totally. You need to learn to think on your feet, let it flow more spontaneously. It's not a pre-written speech.
Good point. And then there's the very practical issue of just not enough speaking practice.
Right. So much focus on grammar rules, writing exercises, which are important, but you need to actually speak.
You can't run a marathon by just reading about running.
Exactly. Your mouth, your brain, they need the workout.
Makes sense. And it all ties back to confidence, doesn't it?
It really does. Lack of confidence leads to nervousness, which slows you down. Believing you can communicate is half the battle.
Okay, but the good news is these are hurdles you can overcome.
Absolutely. BBX emphasized that. With the right approach, consistent effort, you can get there.
Right then, let's get into those strategies. Tip number 1 from BBX, and we kind of set this up already. Think in like English.
Foundational, really. You got to bypass that translation route.
So how do you practice that? BBX had some simple ideas.
Yeah, really straightforward stuff. Like just describe your surroundings in English
Yeah.
directly.
So look out the window, and instead of thinking it in your language first, just go straight to, the sky looks kind of gray, or that's a nice car.
Exactly. And do it internally too. Have those little mental conversations in English.
Like, what am I going to have for lunch? Or, oh, need to grab milk later.
Yep. Those little thoughts. Practice them in English. It helps your brain get used to operating in English as its default.
Cool. Okay, tip 2 is, it sounds a bit more fun, tongue twisters.
Huh. Yes, they might seem silly, but they're actually great physical training.
For your mouth muscles.
Precisely. Your articulators, tongue, lips, jaw, tongue twisters train them for faster, clearer pronunciation. BBX gave the classics.
Like she sells seashells by the seashore. Say that 5 times fast.
Or Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
It feels like a game, but doing it regularly actually strengthens your articulation.
It really does, and that's crucial if you want to speak faster and still be understood, which leads nicely into tip 3.
Which is?
Using contractions and connected speech. This is huge for sounding natural.
Oh yeah, native speakers do this all the time without thinking.
Right, you almost never hear, I'm going to the store, it's I'm gonna go to the store.
Or what are you doing becomes more like, what you're doing.
Exactly, learning to hear and use those links, those contractions, it makes your speech way smoother.
Yeah.
Faster too, it's like the glue holding natural speech together.
Okay, that natural blending. That brings us to tip 4. Shadowing.
Yeah. BBX highlighted this as a really powerful technique.
Explain shadowing again.
Okay, so you listen to a native speaker podcast, YouTube, movie clip, whatever.
Yep.
And you repeat what they say as they say it simultaneously.
At the same time, not pausing.
Right. That's the key BBX emphasized. Immediate repetition. You're trying to match their speed, their rhythm, their intonation, everything.
Wow, okay. That sounds challenging but effective. Like learning a song by singing along.
Kind of like that, yeah. It trains your ear and your mouth to sync up at native speed.
Got it. Okay, tip 5 hits on something we talked about earlier, that fear of mistakes. The tip is, don't stop for mistakes.
So important for just keeping the flow. BBX rightly said, look, native speakers mess up too.
We stumble over words, use the wrong grammar sometimes.
Yeah, but we generally don't freeze and dissect it mid-sentence. We just keep going.
So the advice is, just push through.
Pretty much. Keep the momentum. If you really need to clarify, you can circle back and rephrase, but don't let every little slip halt the conversation.
Right. Practice reduces the errors over time anyway. Constant self-correction just breaks your rhythm.
Exactly. Now, there was a bonus tip BBX shared, which is super practical.
Ooh, what's that?
Record yourself speaking.
The dreaded recording. But yeah, I could see how that would be useful.
It can be really insightful. It gives you objective feedback on your speed, your pronunciation, things you might not notice while you're actually talking.
So what, just read something aloud and record it?
Yeah, they suggested reading a paragraph or two, record it on your phone, then listen back. Listen for pace, hesitation, clarity.
Good practical tip. Okay, final core tip from BBX number 6.
Practice with a timer.
Okay, adding a bit of pressure.
A little bit, but in a good way. Like, set a timer for 1 minute, pick a topic, see how much you can say comfortably in that minute.
And then try to beat your score next time.
Sort of. Gradually try to say a bit more, and this is key while still being clear, you can also time yourself reading short texts to track progress. It makes improvement feel more tangible.
Right, you can actually measure it. Okay, so those are the main strategies. And BBX went into more detail on the exercises, right?
They did, yeah. Really reinforcing how to put these tips into action. Let's quickly recap those practical exercises they focused on.
Go for it.
First, that 1-minute speaking challenge. Pick a simple topic, hit start, and just talk continuously for 1 minute.
Focus on flow, not perfection.
Exactly. Don't stop for small mistakes, just keep talking. Then record it, listen back, see where you can smooth things out.
Okay, second.
Shadowing. We covered it, but they stressed mimicking the speed and intonation closely right away. Maybe start with slightly slower speakers, then work your way up.
Got it. Then tongue twisters again.
Yep. That focus practice. They used the Betty Botter one. Betty bought some butter, but the butter was bitter.
So Betty bought better butter to make the bitter butter better.
It really does work those mouth muscles for speed and clarity. Great warm-up.
Okay, what else?
Rapid reading. Take a short paragraph, read it aloud as fast as you can while staying clear, then do it again. Try to be a tiny bit faster. Recording helps compare.
Good one. And the last exercise was interesting, with a metronome.
Yeah. Set a metronome to a slow beat. Speak a sentence or two, keeping pace with the clicks. Then gradually speed up the metronome tempo. It's a way to train your internal sense of pacing and fluency.
Okay, interesting. Lots of practical things to try there.
Yeah.
But just as important, BBX also talked about common mistakes, right? Things to avoid.
Absolutely. Pitfalls that can actually slow down your progress if you're not careful.
What's the biggest one?
Sacrificing clarity for speed. Big mistake.
Right. talking fast, but nobody understands you.
Exactly. Mumbling, sipping words. It defeats the purpose. The first goal should always be smoothness and clarity. Then you gradually increase the pace while maintaining that clarity.
Okay, good point. What else?
Not pausing naturally. Even fast talkers pause.
You need breaks between ideas, right?
Mm.
For breath, for emphasis,
Yeah.
for the listener to keep up.
Totally. So avoid speaking in just one long, breathless stream. Put in those natural breaks after key thoughts or phrases.
Makes sense. Another mistake.
Focusing only on speed, forgetting about overall fluency.
So speed is just one part of fluency.
Exactly. Fluency is about smooth, natural, confident speech. It's way better to speak confidently at a comfortable, natural pace, even if it's not super fast, than to rush and stumble constantly.
Good perspective. Clarity and confidence over just raw speed.
Definitely. And one final mistake they highlighted: not listening enough.
Not listening enough to native speakers.
Yeah. If you're not regularly hearing natural English conversations, how do you know what speed and rhythm you're even aiming for?
Good point. You need that input.
You do. So listen actively. Podcasts, movies, real conversations. Soak up the natural flow and speed of the language.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. The core message from the BBX podcast seems to be: aim for clear, natural, appropriately fast speech.
That sums it up well. And the tools are things like thinking in English, working on articulation with tongue twisters,
Using contractions, connected speech, doing that shadowing technique.
practicing consistently, and crucially, not letting mistakes stop you.
And on the flip side, avoid just chasing speed without clarity. Remember to pause, focus on overall fluency, and listen, listen, listen.
Exactly. And remember, this stuff takes time. It takes effort.
For sure, it's a process.
Yeah, so be patient with yourself. Notice the small wins, celebrate them, keep practicing. Confidence is a massive part of it too.
Speak with assurance, even if you're not fast yet.
Right. And try to enjoy it. Enjoy immersing yourself in English.
Okay, so the final challenge for you listening, inspired by BBX. Pick one or two of these exercises.
Maybe shadowing, maybe tongue twisters, maybe that 1-minute speaking burst.
Yeah, pick one or two and really try to do them regularly this week. Just notice. Notice how your speaking starts to feel, maybe sound a little bit faster, a little more fluid.
And think about how you can build these into your routine long term. What else about natural English speaking are you curious about?
Because this deep dive, really, it's just scratching the surface, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's the start of an ongoing journey to becoming a more fluent, more natural English speaker.